Start by installing the navigation menu and separator using ShadCN UI CLI. Run this command in your favorite terminal. npx ShadCN UI at latest, add navigation menu separator. I already had it exist, but for you, it will just install them. The API you're going to fetch articles from is called newsapi.org, and it has a list of categories that you can use. You can now see them on my screen. The available categories are business, entertainment, general, health, science, sports, and technology. Let's add them as navigation items on the site header. Create a new component inside the components folder called categories. As mentioned before, you will use Lucy Dev icons. You can see the icons on my screen. There are tons of them and they are very easy to use. And even more than that, the packages are already installed with the template you've used to create the app. So now add the following icon imports to your categories TSX file. Import banknote, bike icon, CPU icon, flask icon, and TV icon from Lucide React. Then create the categories array. So const categories equal an array, label business, icon banknote. The second one will be entertainment with the TV icon. You can feel free to copy and paste this array from the course text. And the last one will be technology with a CPU icon. The categories array is your data model for the categories component. Now import ShadCN UI navigation menu component and create a categories component. Let's start with the imports. We want the navigation menu. We want to import that from component/UI/navigation menu. So we want the navigation menu component, the navigation menu item component, the navigation menu link, the navigation menu list, and last, the navigation menu trigger style. Now create a new component, don't forget to export it, called categories. We want to return a navigation menu wrapper, inside of it a navigation menu list, and then you want to loop through the categories array we've just created and render a navigation menu item for each category. Create a wrapping div inside the navigation menu item and render the icon you've imported and render the icon of the category with a size for class name. Now add a span that will render the category label and add a text small medium class to it. You'd now want to see it live, so go back to the site header file and render the categories component after the h1 tag like this. Render the categories and the h1 under the h1. Try navigate to the app. Don't forget to run it first. Again, if you have any issue running it, feel free to reach out on Discord. And you should probably see an error. Next is throwing errors at us. Now the problem is that the navigation menu component of ShadCN UI is using a React context inside of it. And you can only use create context inside the client component versus a server-side component. To make the categories component client-side only, add the use client line at the top. Now looking back at the site, your header should look similar to this. Now let's design the category button. You'd want to make the icon and label on the same row and capitalize the label by adding flex. Now let's design the category button. You'd want to make the icon and label on the same row and capitalize the label by adding the flex item center justify between gap 2 and capitalize class names. So let's do it. Great. Let's see it live, and they are now on the same row. The category button should also be clickable, since it leads to a category page. Now ShadCN UI offers a spatial navigation menu link component that plays nicely with next link component. So add an import to next link component first, and add an import to the CN function as well. Now you'd want to end the link inside the navigation menu item. So wrap the inner div with a link, pass it an href, which is a dynamic link to the /category.label, add a pass href and legacy behavior props to it. Now under the link, add the navigation menu link components ShadCN UI offers. So navigation menu link, pass to it a class name. And now you want to pass a CN function, which will combine the class names, as you remember, with the navigation menu trigger style, which is a spatial function from ShadCN UI. You can see the source code of it inside the navigation menu component. And let's pass our own minor design adaptation. So a minor paddings on the side. I want to make a small transition on hover, which will make the background transparent and will make the text with a deep orange color. Great, now don't forget to close the navigation menu link and wrap them both. Great, now the category item should look something similar to this. You can see that on hover the background is transparent and the text becomes a deep orange. Now let's add a separator that you can see on the news side and design. Add a separator, start by importing it. Now add it between the menu items. Render it after the category icon and the label inside the item div. So the separator receives an orientation prop, which we want to make vertical. And then we want to design it a little bit. So we want it to have a margin left of 4 and height of 8. We want to rotate the angle a bit, so 45. And we want to make it with a BG orange 700. Great. Now don't forget to hide the separator for the last item. We can do so by wrapping the separator in a condition. So if the index is equal to categories.length -1, we don't want to render anything, but if it doesn't, we do want to render the separator. Great, let's check it out. Perfect. Right now, the categories are being rendered under the logo. On desktop, the header should be one row with categories on the right, as you can see on the designs. Let's add a flex row class names to the header. Go to the site header file, locate the header, and add to it at the beginning a flex with full, flex column, item center, and justify between components. That's for mobile. For desktop, we want to make it a flex row and add a small border at the bottom of the component. Now on mobile, there's an issue though. Categories will be wider than the screen width. They will overflow. You can see it here. The technology component is overflowing the content, and the business component is almost invisible. ShadCN UI offers a scroll area component that handles this exact case. The component augments native scroll functionality for custom cross-browser styling. So let's install the scroll area component from ShadCN UI. Now wrap the categories component in a scroll area in the site header file. First, add an import and wrap the categories with the scroll area. You want to add a class name, which is no wrap for the whitespace property. And you also want to add a scroll bar because the scroll area doesn't work without a scroll bar. You want the orientation to be horizontal. And we want to hide it on larger screens because we don't want it to scroll there. Now, you'd also need to edit the navigation menu wrapper inside the categories component. You want to add a max width to it first. We'll make it 95 VW, which is the screen width. And then we want to add a flex, item start, and justify start class names to it. Now the categories should be scrollable and won't overflow. Perfect, great work. One thing we need to fix is that the site header component also need a use client at the top of it. So don't forget to add it. And we have another error that we can see on the terminal, which is that we forgot to add a key to the categories item, the navigation menu item. So you want to pass the category label into the navigation menu item. And now the code compiles without an error.